Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com where music comes to life. My guest today was last on the site about 3 years ago when we talked about his debut EP and a pair of singles he had just released with Bon Jovi guitarist Phil X. Well, he's back now to talk about his full length debut titled And So It Begins. Please welcome back Kurt Deimer. Welcome, Kurt.
Hey, thank you for having me, Jeff. What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Yeah, well, we mentioned the EP from 2021, actually, Work Hard, Rock Hard. And then in 2022, you had some singles out. You had some huge tours with Jeff Tate and Yngwie Malmsteen, built up some great momentum. Why the 3 year wait before the full length record comes out?
Well, it was when I came out to LA and with my demo in 2020, Chris agreed to remix it for me, and then we became really good friends, and he became my producer. We started. First song was "Have a Cigar" that Chris wanted to redo the way he envisioned it because I wasn't sure if I even wanted to do that song.
Mhm.
And so that's how Phil and I got together. And then Phil and I just started writing, and I kept giving him lyrics and my vibe on songs. And we've literally been writing this music over the last 2 to 3 years. And there's probably well over 30 songs in the pipeline. But it just took a little while because when you come out and you're new to the business and everybody's telling you can't, you got to find the right people to surround yourself. And there's a lot of chaos, and it's not easy to start something from scratch. I mean, I've done it in my life before with my oil businesses and stuff, but it just takes a little while. But now that we finally broke the ice and the album is out now today. We're off and running. I've already got the second one teed up and the third one in progress. So they should start coming out at a more rapid pace now that life has settled down a little bit.
Now, some of the tracks that were on the EP and those early singles are included as well on this record, which is an incredible 17 tracks. So, were all of these songs kind of done around the same time with Chris Lord-Alge and Phil, or did you do a bunch at one point and then work on more as time went on?
No, when I had brought, like, for instance, Burn Together, uh, What You Saying, which is on the EP. It's not on the album, but it's going to come out as a remix single with a collab. Um, and like Big Toe and Fight, My Dad, songs like that, I had already written with my original writing partner, Ben Trexel, out of Birmingham when I was down there, really getting into acting more and more. And so you hear a lot mixed in that I did with Ben, and then Chris, reproduced it, and then we added Phil onto it instead with the vocals and all that. And then a lot of it is after Phil and I met, did Have a Cigar, and then toured together and stuff. We were writing like Live or Die, Naive, Back of the School. Those were some of the first ones we did. Doom. So there's a blend of the two. So it's kind of like the past before Phil, and then there's the Phil era. So it's the Ben Trexel era and the Phil era, but all the Ben Trexel era stuff we reproduced with Phil and Chris Lord-Alge. So that's kind of how it all unfolded.
Uh, Normally, when you see a record this big, like I said, it's 17 tracks. After about five or six songs, you're like, okay, this all starts to sound the same. But what I love about your music is that even though there's a thread that kind of ties your sound together, everything is so stylistically diverse that it really keeps your interest as you listen through. I mean, you have really hard stuff like Naive, and funky things like Back of the School. And,
Yeah.
Sunset Boulevard is just that straight up rock and roll. Does that diversity just come from all of your influences kind of combining together?
Yeah, yeah. Like take, I mean, saw bands like AC/DC, The Police, Scorpions, Ozzy with Randy Rhoads. So I was very influenced by that, Ronnie James Dio and Black Sabbath. But then I also, back in those days, also liked the new wave stuff. I liked the Hoodoo Gurus, was one of my favorite bands out of Australia. Then I liked the Grateful Dead. I liked Widespread Panic. I liked Fish. I like reggae, like Sublime, the Movement, Stick Figure. I like all that kind of stuff. So I guess I'm glad you can tell, and hopefully the fans can, that I'm influenced by a lot of different styles, and now even a little country now too. So I think it's important not to put an album out that sounds all the same. And at the beginning, people were like, "You got to go more country rock." You got to. I go, "How about I just go Kurt Deimer, the way
Yeah.
I want to present it, and if I like the tunes, maybe 1% of the world will like the tunes."
Yeah.
So that's how I went about it.
Well, I think it also works well for you when it comes to touring because it allows you to slot into a lot of different kinds of tours because you could put a set together for almost any facet of a rock audience.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've opened for Mushroom Head, totally different than we are for the most part. Drowning Pool, Ingve, a bunch of people wanted to see him play guitar, and we go in and slap it out. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it fits in, and we have a vibrant set, whether it's 30 minutes or 45 or an hour, what hour and 15, whatever we're doing, and we have a lot of songs to pull from to tell a story that night and touch a lot of people's lives. So, when we go from Naive, which we're doing currently, number 5 on the set list, right into What You Saying, that's two different total
Yeah.
vibe. So I take you, on that hard rock, and I go out in the crowd, and then I come back and we're talking about My Lord, What You Saying to Me. People love it. They light the room up with their phones, and it's fun to be able to do all the different types because it could get boring for us as a band too to play something that sounds the same all the time.
And speaking of touring, you're currently on the road now. I'll actually be catching you guys live in a couple of weeks with Tesla. Who's in your
Awesome.
current touring band?
Yeah, my band now we're pretty much set. That's the other thing. It's taken a little while is getting the guys that believe in what we're doing as the band Kurt Deimer and getting the best musicians possible to always be tight, which is very important to me. I want the fans to see the same guys all the time. So now we've settled in on a 4-piece band, and it's Sammy Bowler on lead guitar and vocals, and then Marco Pera on bass and vocals, and Isaiah Perez is our drummer. So it's a 4-piece banging show, and hell, if Led Zeppelin can do it, Rush can do it with 3, Triumph can do it with 3, Kurt Deimer can do it with 4. So we're having a lot of fun. This is probably the best tour we've ever been on as far as the crew and the band and just morale, and we're just all on the same mission now.
Yeah, like I said, I caught you guys when you did open for Ingve a few years ago, and like I said, I'll be seeing you with Tesla in a couple of weeks. And one thing that really impressed me about your live show, and I like the way you approach touring because you're opening for these more established bands rather than playing to 3 people on a Tuesday night in an empty club somewhere. And I think that that really shows because that's how it was back in the day. There was always a great opening band with the
Oh
headline.
yeah, you'd go see Triumph or somebody, and there'd be Fall Cat,
Right,
or
right.
you go see Journey and Foreigner, and it was Billy Squire, you know.
And you guys are picking that up right now. And I think it really helps with the fan base because when I saw you with Ingve, I mean, at first I don't think anybody really knew who you guys were when you came out. But by the end of that night, there was a buzz in the crowd about your band. And
Right.
that's what I think really makes it work.
Yeah, yeah, we've been very blessed. I mean, my first real tour, was with Jeff Tate
Mhm.
from Queensryche, and he did the song "Burn" together with me, and we went out on tour together, and he really helped boost us and get us off to a good start. Where we didn't have to start out, locally or in the bars, or we just brought our presentation right to the stage in front of a lot of people, and we're very blessed that we got to do that, or that these artists that are legends thought we were good enough to go and do this with them. So
And I know he has his own music out right now, but will you and Phil continue to write together and work together in some capacity going forward?
Yeah, we'll keep working together. He's part of our little team, me and Chris and Phil at the studio, and he's got a lot going on. But we've got several more songs that aren't even on this album that are killer that him and I did together, and we'll put the finishing touches on that. And if I could write another song and feel a vibe, I know I can call Phil and send it to him and him and Chris and say, hey, let's put it together like this, and we would do that together. So.
You've had success in the movie business. You mentioned acting, also producing. Now you're seeing success in music, and you're doing it all a little later in life than when most people kind of start out doing it. What's given you the motivation to just to keep going, to keep chasing it, and realize this success?
Well, I only, and I share this with everybody. I only have one life. We all only have one life, and I'm a dreamer. I'm a visionary. I'm a very take the high road, positive guy, and I was raised that way by my parents. And I just, what keeps me going, I just have a competitive drive. I always have. I've always been entrepreneurial my whole life. I get A's in high school? No, I got C's, but I figured out how to get C's without studying so I could go work all the time. Do my own company. I started my own lawn business when I was 10. I was making 500 a week down in Houston. So I've just always been a worker, and it's helped me through a lot of times in my life by being a hard worker. And I just carry that over. And when I got into the first movie and the opportunity presented itself, it was like a sign. It came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't trying to get it because I was very busy anyways and successful. And then that came along, and the music. I'm like, well, I always wanted to do this. And I said if I could ever do it and win the game, I would do it. But in this business, it's rough. You gotta have the wherewithal to be able to take the punches and get back up, or you'll never make it. That's why so many great bands never do.
Yeah, and you're a tribute to that perseverance and putting through and getting it out there.
And how old are we really? We're only as old as we feel. And people always ask me how old I am, and I always turn it back on them. I go, "How old do you think I am?" And I get anywhere from 38 to 48 most of the time. So I guess I'm doing something right.
That's always good to hear.
Yeah, it's better than hearing the opposite.
And now, even
I
though,
got friends from high school or people that I know from high school days and stuff. They look like they're in their 70s. It's just a
yeah,
matter of stress too. I'm not stressed anymore because I know I've experienced so much negativity and positivity in life. I know what to expect and how to recover. So,
that's the important part is the recovery and
right.
getting through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, even though this is your first full length record, it almost feels like the end of a chapter. These songs have been out for a few years. They've kind of now reached their potential, both studio and in your live set. I know you said you've already have some written for the next steps, but what do you see next for you and the band?
Well, we're going to keep touring. We're working on more tours for later in the year. When we finish May 22nd with Buck Cherry for a little while, I'm going to go shoot my fourth movie that's coming out called Relapse, which is, I play the dad who's a rock star of the daughter who's, addicted to fentanyl and stuff. We're going to bring awareness to that, donate to Music Cares, and got some big names in that movie. And then after I shoot that, I'm going to see you in June with Tesla, and those are going to be great shows because we can bring all our screens and everything, which you didn't get to see before. And then hopefully got another movie project I'm working on that could be legendary, and it's from a legendary director, bringing his final movie to fruition, and then we'll hopefully be touring the rest of the year, into the late fall, and who knows where we'll be next year. But I know we're on the uphill climb, and if everybody just keeps following and sharing and digging our stuff, we'll be coming to a city near you soon. So that's the plan, to keep touring. And then in between, work on the second album and
Mhm.
finish it up, which it's already pretty much done. I just got to get out there with Sammy and Marco and make some tweaks and put the finishing touches on it. And then we'll probably hole up somewhere for a week in the winter and do the third album all together as a band.
Sounds great. Well, we've been
Yeah.
spending some time here with Kurt Deimer. The record is called And So It Begins. It's out everywhere now. He's on tour almost all summer long. Kurt, it's been a pleasure catching up with you again. We will definitely do this again for the next record and look forward to
Oh,
seeing you in a couple of weeks.
yeah, Jeff, always just let it hit me up or my team up and let me know how many tickets you need, and we'll get you on the list and stuff for Tesla.
Sounds great, my friend. We'll
And
see
that,
you
and then
soon.
and have everybody go to kurtdimer.com. That's where you can order the vinyl. That's coming out on vinyl,
Oh, great.
gatefold. It's coming out on CD, coming out on cassette, and it's everywhere you stream music. Merch is on the kurtdimer.com, and follow us on all our socials. And I appreciate all you guys very much out there.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you. Peace, man.
Thanks.